list me as a victim there. It says society is victim there because I was unruly. I created a link in the description of the incident in question where this white woman who didn't sit anywhere near me, but the moment I took my jacket off, immediately made a beeline to the back of the train to where I was sitting, put her arm around me underneath my jacket, and then of course I videotape the whole thing and I say, "Is there any reason you can do that someplace else?" And then she tries to talk to my service animals, showing this blatant disregard. And I'm being quoted as saying, "Get away from me," and it's just, of course you. Who in their right mind would say, "Yeah, sure. I've got my wallet and things in my jacket, but yeah, you can just hang out by my jacket where my wallet is." Does that make sense? Does that make sense to anyone? Because it doesn't make sense to me. So of course, if I did say, "Get away from me," it was because this woman put her arm around me. And I'm sorry, I don't care how old you look, white woman. I don't care how old you look. If I see a white woman putting her arm where it is, I'm just going to assume you're going to rob me. Okay? Okay. Now, I'm being quoted as being paranoid, but I don't deny that. I don't deny that. Because every time, and, this is why I say I'm speaking to my fellow veteran here. Every time I have a PTSD tingle or something like that, or I have a moment of paranoia, it's fucking justified. How else are you supposed to react to I put my wallet in my jacket behind me? Some white woman at the front of the train comes to the back of the train to put her arm around me underneath my jacket. There's no mention of this woman. Her name is redacted. Freedom of information letter. This woman doesn't get to fucking hide unless she's a fucking spot because you did this as an agent provocateur. This is why I hop on my YouTube channel, because people are like, "Let's fight ICE, let's fight the government." Like, well, the government embeds itself into more than just Washington, D.C. They ride a train with you, they're your neighbors, they're in your groceries, they're all around you. And if they would just, okay, we'll just we'll look and report, secret police, whatever. That would be one thing. But if they go out of their way to commit menace, to commit harassment, that's illegal. Government agent or not, you're not allowed to do that. So I have to find a legal team because Amtrak itself, it's a small business, I guess. I mean, it's not exactly a public entity in that kind of way. It's a private business, I guess. But they didn't investigate the whatsoever. I told them, look, I've got the YouTube video. I put the YouTube video right there. Plus, and I informed the person that my camera would be turned on. Like, oh yeah, I'll put the camera on. Because then you have to say, oh yeah, the camera footage shows where your jacket was. And by the way, the video that you have shows her with her arm where your jacket is. She was trying to rob you. Really, America? Really? Okay. So I was labeled as black. They didn't even bother. It's like, are you Native American? No, no, no. They didn't even bother. They're just like, you dark. Okay. So if my black ass decided to just stand by random white people, not say anything, just stand right in front of them, what would the response be? Because I was talking to you in Geneva on X, and they're like, we gotta end racism. I'm like, no, you need to keep it where it is, because with the racism, you at least have honesty. You at least have honesty. If my beautiful, juicy black ass, according to the Amtrak people, my juicy black ass, decided to just stand next to a white person for like 10, 20 minutes, not say anything, what would the response be? Hmm? Because I tell you what my response was when I had a white woman just standing by me for a good 10 minutes. My service animal jumped in my lap to protect my genitals because I was afraid. I was afraid because I said, this woman has a husband right there, and she's just standing there. She's not doing anything. She's just standing there by me. And then finally, when the train attendant, the custodian of the room, comes up and says, "Sir, you and so finally she snapped out of her stupor and the whole entire thing. I should have taken a picture of you, but nah, no, no, that's in Amtrak record, which I can subpoena. So these white people who are bothering me at the station, by the way, there's records of every single one of you. You may have used a dummy name, you may have whatever, but your photo is there, and you had to have used most likely a credit card. So now what? Now what? Because I sent all of this in an email at the time to Amtrak. I have the video of this woman bothering me at Amtrak. The situation is society is saying, oh, you're just unruly. Can you and a situation where you just are unreasonable in your vehemence that you just want people to fall off and it's justified? Yeah, when you're being robbed, when you are in a situation that looks like a robbery, smells like a robbery, but isn't a robbery. Now, I'm not checking this woman's fingers, I'm not checking pockets, but she was fishing around my fucking jacket, which was right behind me. And I have her on videotape in and under my jacket. Explain to me. Somebody better fucking open their mouth in America and explain to me why I'm supposed to look at that situation and say, white granny gets a fucking pass at fucking patting down my jacket. What's your response? What's your response? Because my response is now I have to get a lawyer and say, number one, Amtrak did a veteran with PTSD from military sexual trauma. I explained to them, I don't want women near me. I don't service animals here, the tasks that they're cleared for. But for the most part, you know ahead of time you are giving a seat to someone who has mental difficulties. Mental difficulties. A handicapped person, you dumb fucking. Even in my handicap, guess what? I don't suffer fucking fools. And only a fool, like Granny, putting her arm underneath where my jacket is. Now, when that agent, the Amtrak police, had to come onto the train, he had to wait for me to put on my jacket. So the placement of my jacket, everything, that's all there on his camera and my camera. So, America, you want to speak up? Want to speak up on this issue? Because if you are not willing to make proper accommodations for handicapped people, if you are not willing to say, yeah, there is a problem on these trains, because if a white person can take liberties like that, I sure as hell wouldn't feel comfortable if a person of color was doing it either. So, just as a public good, we need to have security on trains. My problem with the situation is you came onto the train at Seattle. You weren't on the train since Portland. You should have been on the train since Portland. If we're in a situation like this, there should have been somebody on the train. So it's a tricky one because I almost feel like I'm being defamed by this. But I want to stick up for my fellow veterans who say, I'm being paranoid, I'm being paranoid, I'm being paranoid. But maybe that's your body, maybe that's your mind telling you something's wrong. If this woman needed to contact train staff, she could have done it from her seat. She could have, oh, it would have been a quicker trip. But no, she came not to anybody else's aisle. She came directly to mine to put her arm around me underneath my jacket where my wallet was. And I'm supposed to look at that situation and say, but you're white and you're an old woman. Of course you wouldn't rob me. Of course. Hell to the no. I don't know what shit she got fucking on. Whether or not, she got to pay for this or that and thinks I'm an easy target. No. No, 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 no. No, no, no. So, like I said, I feel hurt and slightly defamed, but like I said, I support my veterans. Where your paranoia, I have been in a situation where something went horribly wrong. And so now, when I feel that there is a situation that could potentially go horribly wrong, I'm aware of it. Now, I find it really, really difficult that this was the one segment of the fucking train that didn't have a private car option. Hmm. It was the one segment that didn't have that. which once again goes to the reasonable accommodation. Now, a reasonable accommodation for that would be a private car, or you have train attendants there, or now naturally this see them on the train was a bit of an issue. Paid for my fare like everybody else up in here. So yeah, public train. And I just did a podcast not even an hour ago about the idea of I can control everything. If a woman needs to go by me, she needs to go by me. But the minute she puts her hands underneath my clothes, whether they're on me or around me, fuck you. Fuck you, you American cunt. Fuck you forever. Fuck you. Fuck your state. Fuck your country. If you think you can put your hands underneath my clothes, whether they're on me or off me, and I won't have an issue with it. And fuck you, Amtrak, for saying, you know what? You're being unruly by saying, fuck you, bitch. Get your fucking. I didn't say this. I didn't say this. But in this situation, fuck you, bitch. And they would understand and say, well, all the way to how many people did you fucking rob? Someone thinks, oh, I can just fall asleep. Cell phones go missing, laptops go missing, jewels go missing. They'll take it off your fucking hands if you fall asleep on the fucking train. And in America, you say, well, yeah, but we don't need to do that. If you're riding the train, you're not that type of person. That stuff doesn't happen in our neighborhood, not in front of Barbie's house. But yet it does. It does. And by the way, if you're an old woman and you're pulling a trick like this, guaranteed you've done this before. Now, when I call out this white bitch sticking her hands underneath my clothes, oh, how many trips do you take? Hmm? Do you put your hands underneath other people's clothes? Is this a pattern for you? Did you have anything missing a trip? And then your name shows up on the manifest? Huh? Get the fuck out. This is America trying to protect a federal agent provocateur situation of you are on tape putting your hands underneath my jacket. On what fucking planet do you have a fucking leg to stand on for that? Amtrak is trying to say, oh well, you were just paranoid. I'm like, if it looks like a robbery, sounds like a robbery, but I don't let her get to it, guess what? It might be a robbery. So, yeah, this is something for a Freedom of Information letter. This is something for a personal injury lawsuit because I paid for a hotel. I never got to the hotel. I got stuck in Seattle. Ended up spending money on a hotel, a much better hotel. But yet still, I had to spend money on a hotel. And at that hotel, it was just more PTSD, more PTSD, more PTSD. They just would not let me be alone. At this other hotel, which I paid for, it wasn't perfect, but there was a little less of that. Just a little. To all my fucking fellow veterans, this is the time that we have to band together, male, female, I don't fucking care. Call yourself a purple veteran or a green veteran. I don't fucking care what you want to call yourself. But this affects all of us because this is a target against veterans. Because yeah, we're upwardly mobile. We're trying to, and this is why I want to fucking get these people in a fucking courtroom because they are holding me back from maybe moving to an area that doesn't fucking suck. Now, granted, I have been squatting in this disgusting fucking town for nearly 3 months now. 3 months. 3 months this fucking town. Now, I don't want to get an apartment here because it would be 12 months of having these people as my fucking neighbors. I don't want them to be my neighbors. I don't want neighbors. I don't want neighbors. Unless they're my own tribe or close to. That's the thing. I want to live with my genetic cousins at the very least. I don't want to live in this kind of town where these kind of situations happen and you're just supposed to say, well, if a white person thinks that they can put their hands under my clothes, then I guess I have to put up with it. No, thank you. No. I see people coming in and out of the channel. Guess what? I mean, this conversation is for you, or maybe it isn't for you. If you're lucky and you didn't join the military and weren't deeply affected by it, maybe this conversation is for you. But if you did join the tons of things that you say, oh, I don't want to be that person who's having a PTSD freak out. But in this case, I wasn't having a PTSD freak out as much as I thought I was. It was a freak out of this woman is giving the appearance of someone who's trying to rob me. Did she rob me? What if my passport was in there? Most likely it was. And this woman took my passport and then was just, okay, well, I'm just hopping off the train to my destination. What am I supposed to do? Now, granted, I want to go to Europe and, ride my Eurorail and see as many countries as I want to see. But this is the kind of situation that just makes you say, this is why I understand to some degree, why America is so hard on veterans in trying to say to them, no, you just want to think but poor, conniving thieves. throughout Europe. There's some nice, decent people too, but the only nice, decent people are the people who say, "Come to my fucking chateau, come to my fucking castle, and stay there." But if you're not on that level yet, if you're not there, and you think that you're just gonna fucking hop on a train with a bunch of people who are trained thieves, they bump into your shoulder once and all your money's gone. You don't want to try that. The best of best have a hard time with these kind of people. I get it. I get it to a degree. But in this situation, so what? I can't go anywhere else in America now because of this. I mean, I guess I still have other avenues of travel, which would actually be faster. But no, this is such fucking lengths that these people are going to bother me. I could say it's paranoia, but bitch, I got a fucking camera. And so when you put a camera on these things, and by the way, I have to tell my vet, shuffle off shadows like the I put that bitch on fucking X, I put that bitch on fucking everything. Because I said, here you are, putting your hands underneath my jacket like you're trying to rob me. You came from the opposite end of the fucking train, away from the train attendant, away from every other fucking button that you could have fucking pushed back to Boston. Didn't like Seattle. Seattle part that fucking bothers me is because I'm an indigenous person and I just want to live my indigenous life. I just live in that's all. I'm trying to find an area where it's perfectly legal for me to just say, you know what, I live in a tent. I'm not rich, I'm not poor, I'm just there. My neighbors are all made very aware that I have PTSD. I talk to people. And yeah, I'm a veteran. So when people talk about veterans with PTSD and the freak out and everything, you're supposed to have the compassion and understanding to say, unless I fucking swing on you, unless I fucking swing on you. And you know what? When she put her arm underneath my clothes trying to fucking rob me, luckily I pressed the button for the camera to go off instead of my fist. Luckily I did that. A lot of veterans in that situation would have said, punch first, ask questions. Look, I want you to look. for fucking 5 seconds to explain why her hand underneath my clothes. Sprizzleberries, thank you. Thank you for the compliment on my beard. I enjoy having my beard. I'm definitely a beard enthusiast. I'm having a rough day. Veterans like myself, we travel on public transportation, and sometimes we get mentally, physically triggered, and it just brings everything back to our PTSD. And it's difficult for us because we get labeled as paranoid and unruly. But the fact is, people blow up trains. People rob each other on trains. People get groped on trains. People get raped on trains. Things happen. So when a veteran says, I don't feel comfortable in this situation, I don't feel comfortable. It was shorter last time I saw you. It does look good. Yeah, I'm doing more like a Fu Manchu kind of thing because it's like long on two sides. Like I gotta get fucking some of my bells or something. Just I gotta get some adornment. Like I'm not really trying to accentuate the fact that my beard is awesome, but I really should. There's part of me that wants to shave the beard and spend the summer as the cool pop star guy because I make a lot of music and I'm not trying to exude sex appeal. Mostly because I have my PTSD, so ah but granted my beard is not growing evenly, so I almost want to clear it so I can do it again. And the same thing with my hair. My hair is a reverse mullet. I have do what you want to do, man. Don't think about it too hard. I had a long beard and I just like I feel bad for people who have beards and they say, I'm just gonna cut it. I'm like, no, 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 don't do it. Same thing with like people with long hair. It's as much as it may feel like a burden and you feel like you need to change. Do you know how many people don't have that? And here you are saying you just want reverse. I never heard of reverse mullet before. Well, like I can't fucking hide it. But yeah, like this is what I'm talking about. Sides, but yeah, just like in front, there's nothing, and on the back, there's like barely any hair, and it's like I'm not really shaping it properly, and it's always just like so scraggly, and it's just without the beard, like my skin is fucking like I have really good complexion, and yeah, just mess for hair, just mess. Like the water here is so fucking bad. Like I try with the conditioner to repair the damage, but it's like dunking your head in fucking lime. It's so bad. But yeah, this is what I'm dealing with. If my beard was just where it needs to be, like I could do that. Like maybe that's a little bit better. braid it, less maintenance for a while. I have to consider that. I'm a little wary of braiding my hair because it's curly, and I braided my hair once and I think I almost had to just chop out the braid completely because I could never unravel it. Like my ancestry is, I want to say, Irish Scottish pith because someone in my family fucked a white person on both sides of the family. It's very clear that someone fucked a white person because my hair is actually red in places. I have red hair, and you see it. Yeah, this whole swath of it is red, and then here's the dark hair, and then yeah, here's the red hair, and in the light, it shines more. But yeah, more red hair, red hair, red hair. Yeah, so someone fucked a white person. I know I have a very fuck white people attitude, but I can say that because I am white, so there's that. It is awesome because I have access to Celtic magic, but I just don't get too invited to any of those parties because got the melanin, some melanin, some of it. That's how my beard is. I have blonde and red in my beard, but my hair is brown. People don't understand. You may think of yourself as one thing, but over the years, the truth comes out. I say the truth comes out because my mother had dark brown eyes for most of her life, but without cataracts or anything like that. She went to her grave with blue eyes because um, her brown eyes couldn't suppress the fact that she had white genes. And the reverse happened for her children, where we were born with lighter eyes and yeah. All right. I appear to be back. I don't know what happened with my iPhone, but it brought me out of the YouTube channel right when I was talking about the fact that my mother considered herself to be a person of color, but yeah, her genes showed that she wasn't just that. She was also white, which is really weird because she married a white man. My father was white, and he's white because he was an indigenous person. His grandmother was an indigenous person. My grandfather on his side, Australian. So there's that. And then on my grandmother's side, a Portuguese man had sexual intercourse with the female ancestor. And I think it was that probably way than the reverse of that. And those genes got carried down, and now you have me. So white dormant genes on both sides, and that's that. What have you been up to? I've been making a ton of new music, just lots and lots of new songs, lots and lots of new songs. Caution, contents are extremely hot is a really good, like, butt shaking. You will shake a bomb to that song, Mr. Worldwide. I I I have to get it into my head that I'm stronger than I am, and that I could go international. I could go international and just say, you know, it's a dangerous world out there, but at least you got to see it. Because right now I'm dealing with these Americans who are trying to say, "May, look, you're an older person. You're not exactly poor. Granted, anything that this woman could have stolen from me on the train, I could have easily replaced. Even my passport, it's, yeah, I could obviously get another passport, but then there's the idea that someone would steal your passport. Not that this happened, but it could have. So I don't know. I wish you weren't right, whoever these people are. I wish you weren't right about it being a dangerous world. But in my head, it's, if it's a dangerous world, why don't we do something about it? I saw a lovely article on X where someone was talking about how in Spain there's a bakery that at the end of the day they take the unsold goods and they just put it outside and say, if you want it, take it. You don't have to pay. It didn't sell. It didn't sell. Supply and demand. So here, take it. It has value to you that goes beyond just money. And I love that. I love that Spain is beginning to think that way. Of, there are values that go beyond money. There are values that go beyond just try and make that bottom dollar. That maybe things like a bakery are a community good. True, that's how more of the world should be. Shame we throw away so much in the US. We do throw away a lot of things. We throw away old, like, video game systems and things like that. We throw away old books. I almost feel inclined sometimes when I see people throw away books to just pick them up because I like reading a lot. I like reading. I'm a bit of a nerd. My nose is always in a book, which is why I was super upset at this whole thing when I was on the train because I was reading a book. If If you want to call me that unruly veteran who was just so rude, then explain to me how it is that I could sit down reading a book. And by the way, they've got videos of me reading a book. They got a video of that. My nose was in the book. Only after this woman almost robbed me, or gave the appearance like she was trying to rob me, did I become unruly. And at that point, yeah, I agree with you. I should have been on the train at that point. I was almost robbed. So I don't disagree with anything that they did. I disagree with their assessment of it. Because if you're not willing to admit that security is an issue on our public transportation, then I want to talk to the government itself. Say, fucking tax them. We want your money so that we can go to war, we can pollute the air, pollute your water, whatever. Called Asheville, and they've been taking care, kind of like Portland of the East Coast. In So while I was in the service, I was actually abused by Master Sergeant Miranda of the United States Air Force. They had to send me to the hospital. They never did an investigation. And because of that, it took me about 10 years. But now the American government has to pay me every single month as a way to apologize and also to acknowledge the fact that they sexually abused me. So I have a financial and legal document that says the American government sexually abused me. The American government did this. A federal employee did this. But after that, I had issues dealing with women, especially on the West Coast. On the East Coast, women didn't fucking talk to me. Women would look at me and be like, gay. I don't need to bother. I don't need to bother. Like women would look at me with every situation I have a woman. I think no, of course not. But I didn't have half the problems that I have here on the West Coast. On the West Coast, I don't know. These women are either fucking horned cougars, or they're eating something that causes them to have a high sex drives, high libido, because maybe it is the sun. Maybe it's the women here get way too much sun that they they get sexually aggressive here. But yeah, I've had to deal with sexually aggressive women on the West Coast several times. And by the way, it was videotaped. Every single time it was videotaped. There's a videotape on the buses and the trains when women would grope me. There's videotapes when I was trying to get a cell phone. One of the cell phones that I was using here was an Apple iPhone. And in the middle of getting the cell phone, she says, you're really pretty. You should just go in acting. And I said, that comment makes me feel uncomfortable because I'm here trying to get a cell phone and you're telling me I'm pretty. Like, no, thank you. Um, all right. Part of me wanted to join up, but I hear so many vets with terrible stories that it made me not. I have to address what you're saying there because it's never wrong to join the military, because when you join the military, you're accepting that you want to be a hero, you want to help people, you want to help your nation, and that you recognize that you're a citizen of that nation. And then you also recognize that there's some fundamental problems with your nation that you need to get it into your head that there is a team, there is a line drawn in the sand. You have to find out which side of it you're on. I like to call it, zombies versus plants. Plants are things that try and grow and thrive, and zombies are things that are just slowly decaying and rotting. And that's what we're dealing with in America. We have such income inequalities and poor education that it's very difficult to resist the vegetable state that most things put us in. You use a cell phone, the cell phone puts you in a vegetable state. When you start scrolling on X, on Facebook, on Insta, and all that, your brain shuts off. Your brain actually shuts off. It gets a little spots of oxytocin because you see things that you like, and you get the adrenaline rush of seeing political discussions that you dislike or things that you hate, and it just cycles on and off and on and off and on and off. I'm pretty sure some of not talk about, but a world where you have conversations with people, you see a world where you have communal meals. And for the moment, you can say, this is the safest place to eat right now. Everybody eats the same thing. Everybody either doesn't have a weapon on them or knows how to use a weapon if necessary. And these are all people who are constantly checked. Constantly. If you join the military, you're pretty much saying, privacy, goodbye, I don't need you. Let these people into my life, let them into my hard drives, let them into, my endless scroll for top booty pics. You know, you're marrying your government. When you join the military, you're marrying your government forever because they put their stamp on you and you put your stamp on them. Because when you get out, now you've seen the world. You can change the world if you want. It's like I was watching a thing about how people born into war zones become sexually and physically immature earlier. I wouldn't put it past it because it becomes a pulling back of the veil of civility. That delude yourself into thinking is real because you walk down the street and you say, if I turn my back and someone runs up behind me, they're most likely just jogging. You don't say, no, they got a machete and they're about to chop your head off because you don't live in a war zone. But if you lived in a war zone, or if you recognize that war zones exist, you start looking at the world a little differently. I talk about, how Amtrak was saying, you deal with paranoia. It's no, I've had to deal with a war zone. I've had to deal with a war zone. When you deal with the war zone and you say, yeah, there are places where the law gets a little wavy, a little grayscale. You've had to deal with situations where you say, if I don't defend myself, no one else will. I was a victim of a hate crime in Los Angeles, East Los Angeles. And I turned to the people around me and I said, can you dial 911? I tried to press the button wouldn't work. I tried to call 911 from my cell phone. My cell phone mysteriously didn't have a. And I was in a position of, okay, I've got to fight. I've got to block this person's punches. And I ended up nearly choking this person to death. But then if I'd gone that far, then that goes against the whole reasonable force thing. But that's something that you have to start talking about with people in America, which is why I have my podcast, because I say to people, even if you never join the military, the idea of a militant attitude, an attitude of, I see America or I see the world for what it is. There are people who are for me and I like this, and then there are people who are actively trying to do me harm. And when you leave the confines of your private space, you'll find that there are a lot of people who want to hurt you. That's the problem with big cities. People aren't meant to be surrounded by strangers. We're supposed to know our community. Why I'm so angry at this whole situation that I'm in, because I am trying to either build that community or find that community, because it is exhausting to constantly be looking over your shoulder and think, I don't know these people. I can't I can't trust that if I put my back to them, they're not going to stab it. Because how many people come into these towns, come into these cities and say, yeah, these people aren't punching me in the face, they're not burning crosses on my lawn, but they undermine me in other ways. I read a story, and I wanted to relay this to people. I read a story where a woman decided, oh, I'm going to be friendly, just friendly to the people who are in the war department, just friendly. And then one day she gets a call, and it's, you might want to switch to bottled water for a while. And of course, this woman says, well, why do I need to do that? And the lady who worked at the Department of Water says, yeah, we found 3 dead starlings in the water tank. This woman was pregnant, by the way, the woman who had befriended the Department of Water. And her kids ended up having problems after that. So I'm just going off of what I read, but you don't have to take that example. You could just look at Flint, Michigan. Of these people weren't told, you're poor, we hate you. We hate you. You're a poor person. They weren't told that. They were shown that. They were shown just how much America has contempt for poverty, when they polluted the water supply and then said, yeah, it doesn't matter. Years go by, decades go by, everybody in the whole fucking town has cancer, and no one said anything, no one did anything. Took years, decades of these people being poisoned. So the idea that you're supposed to know your community means so much more. So much more. But you're not going to know people in a big city like Seattle. And I know that that was what they were trying to say of, if it's fucking Seattle, it's not perfect, but they got to keep things on the up and up. They can't let pollutants in the water because people would notice. Out here in the middle of nowhere, people people might be concerned, but they're not gonna say, "Oh God, the water tastes different today." Hey, maybe I should call my neighbor and say, hey, does the water taste differently today? Does it? Then talk to the neighbors and say, be able to say, hey, not just because I'm old, but because it's important, let me go to town hall meetings and say, when was the last time you checked the water tank? When was the last time you cleaned it? When was the last time you put eyeballs on it and said, hey, what's in there? Changing your community is 100 times more difficult than finding an established place. I could not agree more. I could not agree more. When I was living in Los Angeles, I bombarded those people day in, day out with petitions and everything. But guess what? As I left, they finally gotten into their heads. Yeah, we could put more solar panels. And now they have solar panels over their canals now. Whether or not they're going to take that and say, yeah, well, with that much energy, we don't need to fucking charge you an arm and leg or anything for electricity. Same thing with San Francisco. I actually wrote to mayor and the rest of the people in the area who were representatives, and I said, no, you need solar energy. And then lo and behold, I believe it was Senator Viner, but Senator Viner said, yeah, we're going to have clean energy in San Francisco after I left. And so now I'm in a position where I want to say to people, I'm going to build a brand new town. I'm going to fill it with cool people and I'm going to tell them the truth. You can't just be a good neighbor. A good neighbor isn't good enough for this kind of town. It's like the draft. This is going to be a private corporation, it's going to be a private club, and they're going to be community community jobs, not that person is the policeman. It's like, no, you're a policeman too. So expect 2000 on a Thursday. I know you might want to sit down and watch some television. I'm gonna need you to walk these streets. I'm gonna need to go past every single house and look and see if anybody is trying to rob it. I'm gonna need you to sit at the fucking desk and be a 911 operator. I'm gonna need you to be on bucket brigade duty just in case fire breaks out. That's how you save a community. By building a brand new one and saying, you know what? Here's how you do it. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna keep doing as many of these YouTube chats as it's gonna take in order to get this message across. I know I come off as, this horrible incel person, because I am, but I'm not wrong. Of we need to change everything. We need to change another. Because no man or woman should ever be in a position where they say, I feel sexually violated by this other person. So we're gonna stop by entering into social contracts of respect. Social contracts of respect. Because if I move this town to a position where I say, nah, it's not just a boys' club, it's a everybody club, then there's going to be accountability. There's going to be fucking body cams on people when you fucking go about. Because you say yourself, you know what, we're just going to be honest people here. Honest. You want to run your mouth, you want to fucking hit on people, you want to flirt with people. If they feel like, it is invasive, Guess what? That. If you feel like someone, touched your shoulder and you didn't give them permission to do so, either mentally, physically, body language, or whatever, let there be a video of that. Let there be a town council for these kind of things. Let there be a way to talk to one another that you say, you know what, I have good, decent people in my life. I don't need to harass them. But then again, I'm also in a safe enough place that if someone is receptive, I have the support of myself, them, and everyone else around me. And every step of it is corroborated. I believe in safety for both sides. So that's what I'm going to do. Because this is what America is missing. America is a fucking fantastic place when there is harmony within the disharmony. Because if you saw it from the eyes of someone who's a veteran who's been through a war zone, you would see it as the purge. You would see it as a quiet place. You would see it as that, where it's don't speak badly about the government, or else you want to live in that kind of place where it's you have freedom of speech, but if you use it, yeah, something will happen. It's like no, no. The consequence of freedom of speech should be further discussion. I agree. I haven't seen a real war zone, but this place feels like a war zone on many levels. I talk about my PTSD. We as a country don't talk about the PTSD that we have inside of us every single day because of what the news does. Because the news is supposed to report things, and then you're supposed to go back to your house and say, okay, I've meditated on it. Now let me go to the ballot box. Now let me call my local representative. Let me go to the town hall and speak my mind because now I'm informed. But instead of doing that, people reject their own power. They reject their ability to process things and then respond. Without the response, it just sits in you, it festers. You hear, oh my God, a child has been murdered. It's not your child, but you hold that in to yourself. You hold that in instead of saying, okay, well, what happened? Was it a school shooting? Okay, well, let me process that. Okay, let me come up with a response and then relay my opinion on it to the local representative, my president, or maybe just speak amongst your community and say, I saw this news story and it affected me. It affected me. Let me talk about this because I don't want this to happen here. But Americans remove power from themselves all the time. They don't have the ability to get in front of a camera. Me, I already know I'm ugly. So, I get in front of a camera as much as possible as an ugly person. It's kind of on us, our willingness to ignore the community. People with 28 prior arrests get sent back out to the street, terrorizing us on purpose. Basically, a formal conspiracy. I'm glad you said it. I'm glad you said it. And yes, the penal system itself is wrong because it doesn't account for rehabilitation, and then it doesn't account for just how much we are a part of the problem. When someone robs another person, some people like to rob and do criminal mischief and kill because they like to do that. But then some of them do that because yeah, they got a family to feed, and they feel that there's no other way, or whatever equivalency they want to give themselves. But it all stems from, well, no one else would listen. I was in pain and no one else would listen. I look at all the cases of the Lifetime channel. The Lifetime channel, which I watch a lot of because damn, those stories are riveting. But it all boils down to, if you had a husband and your husband was abusing you, it's not easy. It is not easy to talk about an abusive relationship. I've been in an abusive relationship, but you are supposed to talk about it. You are supposed to say, enough is enough. You are supposed to say, my life is worth something. If he hits me, guess what? I have to hit him back to defend myself and then call for help and then let the police handle it from there. But you read some of these stories in the news, Lacey Peterson or something like that, and this guy was a repeated womanizer, and his wife would go missing, and you still said, well, she was a bitch, so what can I do? And by the way, I'm pregnant with this man's child. And you don't think, oh well, if you raised his tone to me, maybe I need to talk to a friend. Maybe I need to talk to someone I could trust. But also, and I have to say this, maybe there was another way for him too. Maybe he didn't have to go that route. Maybe he could say, well, fuck it, I just like fucking different women all the time. Maybe if we lived in a society where, if you wanted to get out of a marriage, you just said, okay, well, I stepped outside and now we're divorced. Maybe that is the solution too. And I know that that is very, very shallow and reductive to the amount of harm that this entire case was. But if we're not going to talk about how fundamentally broken our system is because we're clinging to these archaic ideas of, you get a job, you get married, and it's supposed to be forever. All right. Reading your comment there, you ever thought of becoming a police officer? Number one, I have PTSD, so there's that. And two, I have canine training, and if anything, I'd probably be a canine officer. Um, Bomb sniffer, maybe train bomb sniffing dogs. But that's me. I guess I'm that, or maybe I'd be eternal. I'm sorry, internal affairs. Chase down bad cops. Could I just be a regular police officer? Me? No, because I just don't have the temperament. And I'm okay to admit that I don't have the temperament to just listen to people bitch and moan without saying, yeah, but my job is to fucking pay you people. My job is to, if there's truly a danger, truly an emergency, save your life, move you out of harm's way, or defend you against insurmountable danger. But that's what a police officer deals with all the time, and we ignore their pain. We ignore their pain. We ignore that police officers have PTSD. Police officers have to watch their brothers and sisters in arms get gunned down by gang members, sometimes people of color who are gang members, sometimes, just going to a crime and seeing grisly, disgusting atrocities of humanity, and that every day with honor at all times. That's that's the difficult part because we don't see that as PTSD. We just say, you got the uniform on, you got your head straight, you had your coffee, go get them. And it's not that simple because we're not doing our part. We're not doing our part of, I hate this, I hate this, because it's hypocritical. But the good morning, how are you brigade should be a lot more fucking involved because it should be a safe space. Like if you go to your fucking town hall, you should be able to just go to the town hall and just freely bitch and moan about things that bother you. Like, my business isn't well, or my marriage is falling apart, or my kid need to get their grades up. And that town hall should be able to offer you a solution on any of that. Town hall should be able to say, okay, do you need a loan? Or you need tax incentive? Do you need more promotion? Do you need some guidance on ways to cut corners that are legal but still maintain your business's integrity? Because we can do that. Or they could be able to say, oh, you're having problems with your marriage? Okay, well, have you taken any time off? They should be able to have a real conversation with you because you go to your town hall and it's a big empty building. I went to the town here. Hey, who do I talk to about putting an event together? Who do I talk to about, putting a concert or maybe do a symposium? And he pointed me to some parks and recreation thing. And so I don't know. I am of the mindset of got my PTSD, but then I also have the mindset of if I don't. Okay. Hell yeah, we need that though. Too many people take the job who are just checking their own ego. We need thoughtful people not telling you that you should. No, I understand what bears. I been in our, but they're also community peace officers because they know the people in the town. The towns themselves are not that big. If you're in a large enough town, you're dealing with metropolitan. You're not dealing with Garda. But if you're dealing with Garda, it means that these people know you by name. They know your family. They know what you're going through. No person, and in some cases, from a situation that might escalate. But you can't do that with, hi, I'm Officer blah blah blah. Don't even bother with the name. You've never seen me before. You don't know who I am. I know who you are. That's the attitude of American police. And I don't blame them because how often do you get to say, yeah, I know the officer? And if you do know the officer, it's because they most likely arrested you. So, other than that, there's no incentive for you to say, hey, who are these people with guns and authority to fucking shoot a person, walk out my neighborhood? That is what I want to get into American heads. You want to fight ICE? You want to fight ICE? Okay, let's do that. While you do that, can you get it into your head that maybe we need to have a deeper conversation about who are these people walking around our neighborhood saying that they can drag people out their houses, drag them out of school, handcuff them, shoot them with authority. Who are these people? Are they your neighbors? Do they just helicopter in from hell? I don't know. But who are they? Because they recruit. They're obviously getting new people every single day. And if they're not being taught how to do their job with honor, it's because you don't even try to get to know them. So the solution to a lot of the issues that I've talked about here today has been right have brand new towns where you can say, I'm a part of this town. I contribute something to this town, this community. This community knows me by my contribution because everyone goes through life here in America thinking, I'm the baker. I break, I'm sorry, I bake bread and I break bank by baking bread. Instead of saying, no, I'm the baker, but then also I'm neighbor, I'm the sponsor of a football league, I'm a sponsor to, the humanitarian effort throughout the town. I'm Citizens Watch member. I'm a part of your town. If we have mindset of, yeah, you want money for community, but give something back to community, then you have a better community. It's fuck. They have us at trying to get by. That's one of the systems of control. I've danced with the love that I have for Matrix. Just this idea that we're always on this cutting edge breakthrough that'll push us towards stars, towards immortality, towards just true genius level transformations for the world. But the thing that holds us back is just the friction. The friction that we cause rubbing up against each other instead of saying, if I help you in a situation, maybe I don't ask for anything, but if I just help you, maybe your life is better. And maybe you make someone else's life is better and pay forward. And then eventually we stop having problems. The problem with homelessness has always been we don't designate areas for people to just be homeless. Or these locations, these empty lots, these empty buildings, a homeless person in it. Houses are empty, and I almost want to should be illegal for a house to be empty, not sold, and not have a homeless person in it. And the government, this is the kind of government that I'm trying to build, should be able to say, you know what? Even if this is your property, you own it and everything like that. Here's what we will do. Until you sell it to a person, we'll let a homeless person stay there and then keep reminding them, obviously, please find your own spot or we'll find you the next spot that is available. But sometimes some of these homeless people just need a moment to catch their breath. Just need a moment to come together and say, you know what? Let me get some fresh clothes, just eat some really decent food, and get myself back out there. That's all they need. There's no incentive for caring for people and plenty of incentive for being selfish. Are you religious? I'm spiritual. I'm spiritual, not really religious, but I am on this humanitarian mission to save my people, save my country, and just save humanity in general because I can feel just the weight of the world. I hate to say it, I really do, because it sounds like some sort of like Jesus complex or something like that. But that's just, I feel the weight of the world. I feel the burdens of people trying to raise a family, people just trying to get laid, people just trying to keep a roof over their heads, working two, three jobs when you just want to tell them, do you realize you're poor and that you have options? Poor people have so many options that they don't even realize. You can always get free food, you can always get subsidized housing, and in many cases, you could get, rental forgiveness or things like that. But even more than that, if we came together for even an instant to say, okay, America is the solar powered country, you know how much that would change? If you're living in a house and you say, oh, the power company will never shut off your power because it's free, it's considered a public good. The internet, oh my God, it's 10 gigs, 50 gigs. Oh, and it's free. So, what would that translate to Americans if $400, 400 to $500 was just off your back? We said internet free. What if you went even further and said, you know what? Netflix is a public good. What if Netflix was free in America? And everywhere else, they paid more. I'm an American. So, yeah, I'm on Team America. When my president said, you know what? The rest of these countries, all right. So I am back. So I am reading what you're saying there. Assistance comes from bureaucracy, and the parasites are busy skimming off the top. Everything good had 90% bad attached to it. Got my vote, brother. I don't, I don't want you. I want you to change in your life because what I'm talking about incorporation. Incorporation means build a town, but more than a town, you build a business. You build an ecosystem. Everybody wants to run for president. Nobody wants to run for village elder. Nobody wants to run for mayor. Not in the way that you think. More of a village, just a clan or just a tribe. But I want that. I want that So this come election in 2028, someone's gonna run for president. I'm in a way campaigning not to run the entire country, but build the next one within it. To go to town and say to people, do you like what you see here? Do you like living in fear? Do you like having the small amount that you get from your job or your disability or whatever be squandered and not see the return? The government says, "Oh, we need money. We need your money. For the roads, for the bridges. Look at the bridges, and the roads have potholes in them. Bridges can barely support themselves. The stadiums that they always say, oh, it's a public good. It'll build so much revenue for the community if we have this stadium. What's it built on? Popsicle sticks, fucking stadium cups, and they say, oh, that's terrible. You say no. I mean that's poor investiture. Investment, investiture, investment. Yeah, this 2028, I want Americans to invest in themselves and say, no, I keep staying in these towns, I keep staying in these cities and expecting them to do things properly instead of saying, would rather have a town where it's my responsibility all the time. Maybe yes, maybe no, but you still feel responsible. LL, they have all our money and look what they do with. That's my point. Value to things beyond money. Public health, public nutrition. I talk about that on my channel all the time because for all the money in the world, if someone like Ellen gets COVID and you don't think that's a major issue, it's an issue because it affects rich people. Disease on that level affects rich people. And rich people have always been vilified by people because they seem out of touch, they seem heartless, they seem selfish, but they're getting bamboozled too because they live in a world we don't have Wi-Fi. We have high-speed internet, but it's on Ethernet because we trust that the amount of radiation leaking out those Wi-Fi devices doesn't affect you. So in this town, it's illegal to have a Wi-Fi router, but we have Ethernet throughout the entire town. Then we also this is the level we work on. We also have a quantum element field which goes beyond Wi-Fi and transfers the data in both visual and audio and anything else you can cram into it. Oh my goodness. Okay, so where was I? Oh yeah, we were talking about my brand new town, which I'm going to somehow put in the Pacific Northwest legally and transform it into the metropolis of the future. The way I was describing it was a town where we banned Wi-Fi and radio signals in favor of Ethernet only. So you would have Spruzelberry. Yeah, please come to my brand new town. Please come to my brand new town because I am offering a brand new town of the highest quality food, highest quality water, high quality air, best schools, and the highest level of technology ever seen on the planet Earth, ever. I'm a genius inventor. So you get the best of the best of the best. Better than any city could ever achieve, but within our lifetime. So yes, that's what I'm offering. Because the internet would be permanent connection of the highest speed without having this weird microwave. By the way, let's call it what it is. It's a microwave that you stick your head into this Wi-Fi field. People always want the fastest internet. Well, that's what it's doing. It's microwave. I'm a plumber. We need to find other trades people to come help out. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Say there are values beyond money because America has it that everyone is trained to chase money. They're always chasing like, how can I make more money? How can I get money? It's like, no, how much more value out of your life can you get? And sometimes it's as simple as, yeah, you know that sewer over there? It's clean. It's clean. There's no rubbish. Things like that. A brand new waterway system. Talk about having a plumber. Yeah, every house needs one. Every town needs one. You need to be able to trust the water that comes out pipe at all times. If you cannot get that, you're not living in the right America. So, like I said, 2028 is coming around the corner, and some people want to run for president of the entire country. I'm not going to bother. I'm not bother. I'm just going to say, if you're an environmentalist, if you are a human rights kind of person, or if you're just someone who wants something different, then I have the town for you. It's a town where everyone has two or three jobs. You're going to be your own job that you pick for yourself. You're going to be a town guardsman, and you get trained how to fight, carry a weapon, and what to look for in criminology. And then three, you go on the town council because you have a say. You always have a say. And now you're kind of required to have a say. So you're going to get an alert on yourself that's going to say, okay, we are voting on important issues like whether or not we should install the new code detectors which I'm putting up around the town. Non invasive, non ideological, but we'll be testing for COVID at the time. I will be doing medical clinics throughout the day. So I'm looking for doctors, I'm also looking for nutritionists. About community, intentional community. You know about community supported agricultural program, sharecropping is like, yeah, I've heard about it. I've heard about it. I haven't really put much into it because of PTSD that I have. So I can't exactly say, yeah, I'm opening up this community, but if you're, I really don't want to talk to that kind of thing. Kind of turns people the wrong way. So I'm just putting it in my head that I have my own PT, but comes from not setting up injuries correctly. So I'm going to say, I don't have a problem with women in this brand new town. We're going to respect each other's boundaries, and it's just going to be boundaries for everyone, because the right to have access to a good, decent life should have been guaranteed by the government. It should have been guaranteed by your constitution. But we have holes, these holes that they just surround us with, the miserable holes. I'm not talking about women. I'm talking about things like endless jobs where you just don't feel appreciated. You feel like just a damn slave. You feel uneducated, and you only do it because you need to pay a bill. And most of those bills that you have are fucking bullshit. Because you look at things and say, you pay for a cell phone, but you don't want to call anybody. I look at my life right now, and I've spent hours on the phone talking to my cell phone company because the internet is slow. I don't have anyone to fucking call. And yeah, that's a pretty shit. But these people at the cell phone company charge you for that. They charge you for ability to make a phone call. When that ability to make a phone call should be with you at all time. Even so, when it comes to emergency service, I don't want to hear a cloud across the sky. I couldn't connect you to 911. What? In my brand new phone, you got 911 on your fucking wrist. If you need to call 911, you put that. You need to call 911, you put a button at every street corner. Every fucking street corner. That's the level of safety that you can offer in a brand new town, because you realize you look around every other fucking town as the people. I live in the Pacific Northwest. People are happy. They walk around, but they're awake. They're awake in a way that no other town is. I feel sad because I'm referring to the fact that when it gets dark outside, they lock their doors. They close up the windows, they board everything, they shut down public transport. Okay, I'm gonna go to your comments there, Spruzel, because I want this to actually be on record, because this is more than any politician can ever fuck for you. Water, health, insurance, so many things that should be provided, it bleeds dry. Health insurance is something that I want to talk about, because I talk about like health all the time. And sometimes health insurance is the ability to have access to good, decent food. In the kind of town that I'm building, I'd say it's a public good. And I guess this is something I'm going to have to say out loud. This is a social town. Socialism. So in this town, we're going to make a lot of money. But most of that money is going into your neighbor. It's not going to be a law. It's not going to be a law. It's more of like an unwritten rule that in your best to share. That's the kind of belief that I have, because and you don't say to yourself, Yeah, I need some vitamins in me. Some vitamins. Yeah. I need some vitamins. Now I argued with Starbucks the other day because they charged me for a mango refresher. It was like $6 or $7, I think, with tax and everything. But they didn't give me any of the vitamins that they were supposed to. And so I'm looking at them like, that's my nutrition you're fucking with. So, why don't I just build a town that says, you know what? Doctors in the medical community have fucking failed for the last fucking time. Because they explain to you every life, everyone a better body, sex drive, you want to keep your fucking hair, you want beautiful thin skin, you want people to like you, all of that. All of that comes from what you eat. And if you're not eating well, then what about your neighbor? Neighbor eating well? Is your other neighbor eating well? Because if you're, guess what? Now you have more resilience against misery, and probably against loneliness too. Can you imagine a town where everyone is eating their vegetables properly? That you had more smoothie shops and more health food restaurants than burger shacks, that you said to people, yeah, um we did a vote at the city council and said we needed to have we needed to have pizzerias. It might seem, oh my god, that's the removal of choice. It's like, no, you can make a fucking pizza at your house, but I'm not gonna fucking zone this town, and I will vote along with the city council to say, yeah, in this town, you have a soup kitchen. You want food for the soup kitchen. Guaranteed, you won't need to go to see the doctor. You won't. Nothing wrong with socialism. People act like capitalism is inherently better than whatever other structure. There's corruption in every government. None are better than when they're all corrupt. Socialism could work. Socialism works when you put it into perspective. Socialism is public goods, public awareness. When you keep people well informed, then you say to them, hey, border control, yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing. Having this idea that people can do business internationally, and then come back into your town and just right in your face. Remember the film with Paltrow, and she was an international businesswoman, and this isn't a slight against women. I'm trying. But they were trying to figure out where this flu came from that knocked out like the majority of people. And this one was in like a Chinese, or like in Hong Kong. Or I forget. It was a long time ago. But the movie did make impact on it because this was in a fucking gambling den, and she had her hands on some chips and things like that. She in the hotel room, and she got her ex in there, and it's just like, well, no, don't do-" she come to America, and she's just pieces, and you said, where is the border control? Because the border control is always vilified when it's you're ripping people out of their homes, schools. It's never, yeah, you're in the TSA saying, aren't you running a fever right now? Let me feel your fucking forehead. Let me get a picture on you. Damn, you're like 110 degrees. Fuck off. Quarantine. You quarantine. Wake up, America. Wake up, America. Keep looking at, people of color going, oh, that person's in a robe and, they might have a sneaker on or something like that. No, no, no. I'm concerned about the Gwyneth Paltrows going to these Asian countries and then playing dominoes and fucking coming back and coughing in your face. That's what COVID really was. COVID wasn't, this virus came out of nowhere. It was, no, you had a bunch of fucking American business people like, I need to fucking secure this deal. Yes, it's in this town, and not really the cleanest town. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Okay, okay. Well, I'll wash my hands somewhat. They're gonna breathe in your face. But I closed this deal. And they closed the deal, but they closed the coffin on you because they come back and they bring all that stuff with them. Wake up, America. Now is the time. Video conference. Video conference. I'm sorry. That say that the item clear, it's gonna have to be opened, it's gonna have to be reboxed. If you have a fucking dildo, and by the way, this is the kind of town that I'm building is dildos on hats, dildos on fucking seats while you wait for the bus, dildos fucking everywhere. Because the idea that if you need a level of privacy, to sense part, but talking about the idea that privacy is a luxury for people who are afraid of other people knowing. So if you need to have something delivered, like I have dildos delivered by Amazon. So if a dildo came from China or someplace like that, and it came to this brand new town, I want to be able to say that I hired scientists that said the air inside that container before it is opened up in this brand new town been checked for viruses. That level of border security has not been talked about in America because they have us running our mouths about eyes about everything except damn. I'm not afraid of some Mexican national snuck over here who's gonna get behind the wheel. I'm more concerned about some vibrating toy from a fucking foreign nation that you pretty much would probably put up your butt, but it's covered in air from a nation that is currently in a religion. Of course it is. But people get baby formula, they get rolls, get everything overseas. They don't get it from here. And then we wonder, ah, we got this rash or I've had this cough for a while, or I just have headaches. I attribute it to, yeah, international trade is maybe not a good thing. Maybe what we need is to have stick goods again. Maybe we need to have a fucking print press of fashion and say, I guess for a store like Prada or Louis Vuitton, not in your factory. Maybe we need to grow up and say, I appreciate the artwork, I appreciate the timeless of your design, but human misery and contagion that it would bring to have it imported, it's not worth it. So I'll pay you for the design and then I'll have it manufactured here. And then maybe even up the materials that you probably use to make it more sustainable. Maybe in another country, it's made, but here it's made out of newspaper and whatever biodegradable thing that is in the area, but it feels silk because of the weaving and the thread count and everything. Maybe that's where we need to go. People are stuck in their ways. You got a bunch of people they'd rather stay in their bars and talk to each other about how things could be and not make it happen. I make it happen. So as much as I want to bemoan about every single PTSD event that I have to reserve even more time. Talk about 2028. Do you live in America where you're always a victim, you're always second best, or do you want yourself first? Saying, I'm out. I want out of this town. I want out of the city. I want out of the marriage that I want out of everything. I want something else, something different. Is it going to be perfect these first couple of years? Yeah, it is. But am I on blueprint to something truly amazing? Yes. There was a time there was we all the fucking houses or if you want. I mean, I'm going for more of this new tab, but on a fucking castle, I fucking tent. I want a tent in the middle of town where I'm chill about that. Free electricity, free water, free speed internet, no food readily available. Have both private and socialism. Fuck it. Private and communal businesses with the same brick and mortar. I'm trying to say it with saying it. I like the idea that Bain had of if it sells, it sells. But if it doesn't sell, give it to people. Just give it to people. Especially if it's a food where you say, this is good for a person. Why would you put that in the bin when there's a person who will buy and say, I didn't need a loaf of bread, but it's available, it's free. I'll take the loaf of bread, I'll bring it back, or maybe I'll give it to one person. Or I'll split it in half and say, fine, I'll take half and you take half. It's good for the day. Have some bread, or have some sausage. I don't know, something. But we have in our heads currently that doesn't sell. It's worthless. It's absolutely worthless. Chuck it in the bin. How dare these people not give me money? How dare they? And then you're mad at the community when the community is saying, dude, we just can't afford it. I'm bringing it back to the track thing of their idea of, well, we will have private cabins. Most people just can't afford it. It didn't seem to make sense to have a private cabin for that stretch of road, stretch of track, I guess. But what if you need that? I needed. If I had had that, I've had a different experience. It would have been the veteran with PTSD sat in a private cabin, read, and then when it came time for a person to disembark, they disembarked. They made the destination. But friction, they keep forcing Americans to go through, that has to end. Because if it's friction because you don't or trust your neighbors, you need to find some good neighbors. I'm trying to find some neighbors, people who are willing to accept that it's new town, 3 jobs, at least. At least you have your private business job. You're gonna have a job as guardsman. You're gonna walk trolls. You're gonna answer phone calls. You're gonna be on bucket brigade duty. You're gonna learn how to be a fireman because when a fire breaks out in the town, as it does on occasion, people keep looking to the fire department like there's a fire. You risk your life. You. This important message. I have terrible right now. Be doing this side of town square and talk about this amazing future that America could go into of recognizing that you don't have to give technology, you don't have to give up freedoms, you just have to accept more responsibility. You have to look at your fellow neighbor and say, your success is my success. I have a decent neighborhood filled with affluent people and not so affluent people who will slowly become affluent people. That's a good neighborhood. And you can say, give me all your homeless people because the homeless people in this neighborhood, they're zoned. And you can feel safe walk around. You're a homeless person, guess what? Places for you to live. We got job if you want it. We got food. And all the people who are affluent, they don't have their money fucking robbed from them by either government or other people. Because people who are around at this point can afford to just leave the fuck alone. And that's what you want. You want to live in a town where you have responsibility. And that responsibility means, yeah, you sit on the town council, third job I was talking about there. That third
of you sit the town council, spend some time either clocking in from your house, from your other job, or when I say, hey, we need to vote on a new recycling plant, you're going to vote. You're going to be quiet, to because I am building a town. It's not a town, it's a corporation. You're all employees of Metropolis. I'll call that for the time. Because I'm trying to make a blueprint from what you could do across every globe. Say every globe because there Mars right over there. And what we could hear, we could do there. So imagine a world where you double your property because you could say, yeah, the property here, and there's also property on Mars. Nobody owns it. Nobody has to. You just get the benefit from it. As a town, you do a lot of things. You could farm town. You don't even have to farm it yourself, but you can have a say in it. You could be your own farmer. You have options, tons of options. In America, we forget that we have power. We forget we have a voice. So, to remind you, because right now, I just cannot subscribe to the idea that zombies, that basic income and dental coverage for citizens now. ADA 637. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the revolution. My name is Ian, and I agree with you. I agree with, but the idea of basic income has always been let's put a dollar value on what you're worth. This is value. Instead of saying worth more than that, worth more than the money. Basic income would be fruit and vegetables delivered to door. Get true value of what you're worth your health. Yes, you want to talk dental, medical, and dental coverage, and probably coverage as well. 300. It's not. It's not. When you factor in things like high speed internet, and you factor things like entertainment subscriptions or food or high speed internet, electricity, water, rent, sewer, sewage, all those kind of things. Someone has to pick up your bin. And by the way, you pay for that. It's not free. Included in your rent for some people. But for others, it's that extra expense. 300 is a drop in the bit because what you need might be a fixed now. But what about a couple years down the road? The, the cost, when you're young, live on the hopes, dreams of maybe being something someday. 300 enough. You need more. And by more, I don't dollar amount. Medical coverage is important, but then also important not to have stress of crime statistics. A woman or man shouldn't have to good time. You would have people who walk with you. In a great town, you should have a police walks with you. That's what I'm trying to build. That's what I'm trying to change in America. This idea of the people who just call and they come and help you and they rescue you and no 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 no. Let me stop you there. The police should be people you know. The police should be numerous. Goddamn, this fucking internet. Like this goddamn fucking country slowing down my fucking internet. So I have no choice but to go outside. Make child custody 50-50 by default after divorce. Early statement. No, no, no. I actually want to do away with child, I guess child support payments, and custody. It should be whoever's the better parent, and all child's preference, because the happiness of the child should come first before how much time you spend with each parent. Maybe you would just be happy in a more cohesive environment, and maybe the reason you broke up, you dissolved the marriage, you dissolved this relationship because parent just didn't. So, no, I don't agree with that at all. I think that just who is the person for that. Thing. Oh, you're the same. Okay. A 637. Got a lot of us, and I encourage you if you have opinions of like this, you should from your own town. You should tell people to this town and recognize that when you start a relationship, when you have a child within this town, these are the laws that protect your rights here. But you can't say, you want that and then try to make that universal because that just doesn't work. Because something like marijuana legalization, they did it in a way that they all said, hey, if you like smoking marijuana, you might also like protecting the trees and you might like nature or going hiking. So why don't you live in an area where you could do that? In a way, they're also, saying you want to vote for climate change, but you come to it where you could see and why. Start men support movement. I have started men support movement. I can never spell. But what I'm trying to say is June. I'm gonna have incel 2026 is an annual thing, or maybe I don't know, depending upon how successful it is. I'm going number one talk this brand new time trying to build, and two talk about the future of incels because there are a lot of miserable people go on the 4chan, go on the social media, and they talk about misogyny, they talk about just how effective they've been, and they don't talk about maybe see the world differently, but there's spot for you in it, and this is for you to be happy. I mean, quite frankly, look, I'm getting laid right now, but I'm having the best of my life by myself. I've got numerous full sex toys. I get myself a full sex doll, and that's honest. That is true. I'd love to have a fucking president that say, I'm a fucking horny bastard. Guess what? Take care of my fucking and then I get right back to business. I don't have to check interns. I don't have to, international incidents over it. It's like I get off and then I get to what I was in. To start a men's support movement, that is men's support movement by saying
The amount of time that incel and just regular people go chasing after, say, or in a female's case or a gay man's case, chasing after dick. In all you need to do is say, do I want to get off, or do I need to have a person there as a partner? Because if you need a person there as a partner, maybe you have to work on some things inside. Maybe you have to change who you are inside. You don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear. Maybe you want to change some things inside before you ask for a partner. But if you don't want to make that change inside, then guess what? Enjoy the best of your life by yourself. That's men's support. Because since the dawn of time, I've all tried to chase it. Chase it. They try to be slick about it, maybe have game, maybe pick up line. Oh, did your feet hurt when you yell from it? And it's like that line works. If it didn't work, people would stop using it altogether. But the fact of the matter remains that that line works. It's a lot of and picking all and one of life skill. And a lot of people don't want to work skills. They just say, it's just so difficult. Let's make things easy. Largest enterprise in most county states, family court. And you can understand why. It's because we're dysfunctional as people, we're dysfunctional as a society, and we just allow that to happen. We allow us to go from town to town, and it's all the same. It's I barely eke out a living. I get most of my money taken away by things that I either don't really want, really need, or overpriced. Paying for a hotel right now because of the lease, but there was a way for me to just attend and not worry about an animal savaging me, or someone robbing me or killing the night. That's what I would choose. I live in a. I used to live in PTSD, dealing with PTSD, maintain the internet. I'm trying to say that is America because when are we going to stand up for ourselves? When are we going to say, you know what? It's not just you take my money. You have to listen to my opinion on it. You have to listen to my opinion how you run. You have to listen to my opinion about what we need in community. It's more than that be $6 or $7 for the fucking drink at Starbucks. Did you make it the right way? You have to listen to me. Americans have a voice. They need to use it. 2028. 2028. I'm giving myself a year, like a half, to gather as many people as possible. So election time comes, you have a choice. You have a choice because this is what election night was always supposed to be. Not president and vice president. It was, are you a leader? And if so, lead. Even if you lose the White House, You don't need a fortress. You need the people. And the people have spoken and they've chosen you. So as I build this one metropolis, we're probably going to call that. This new could be called this. It's going to have free, clean water, clean air, great weather. It's going to function the way that we've seen before. We're just going to let it swing. Say, can't see it. You don't fly here. You have high speed, 10, 50 gig. You have it, and you control water security because you can trust your neighbor because you are part of the community. I'm looking to a future American voice heard, American voice respect, and that you can real change, not stagnant by, uh, Portland, could you, I don't know, do some litter cleans? Like, no, I'm not giving permission anymore. Making it law. Don't litter in mine. Or if you do that, guess what? There's a robot that goes, corner to from this hand to the next, and just clean up. As we've had for years, litter robots. That we should have attitude. We don't. We should also have the attitude of, okay, just let the bot fucking pick up. How many fucking rotting bins do you have through a fucking town and city of people just chuck the food there and then for days no one fucking can empty up? People live in a fucking fantastic world, but you would rather live in squad, would rather live in fear instead of accepting change, accepting something new. So 2028, I'm bringing that Metropolis 2028 with every land over the year, putting that to use. The courts and out of family. I would go and say, get back into your play. If you the attitude of I work at home or my work is my business and my business is my home, maybe you would have a better idea of what bedroom. Maybe you'd have an idea of what you need the room alive instead of saying, yeah, I work at a job that's like 2 hours down the road and my wife is at home or my husband is at home and they got all the free time in the world because they stay at home, but they're lonely. How many relationships could be saved by, well, fuck, I work home, you work at home, we spend time together, we either learn we really love each other or we hate each other and admit it. Because that 2 hour commute is, you're grateful for someone to be there when you get back. You might as well dog at point. Be honest. If you want to see relationships and family thrive again in America, you have to remind yourself that you need to be there. You need presence to make something work. You need to be there to see your kids grow up, learn true love is respect for other. That's caring. A1637, I respect your rather singular train of thought there. You need to form your own. You need to form an. If you want to see that change, you have to town and say, these are the news of this town. And you see a lot of people say thank you. Takes one person to make a difference, one person. I'm gonna make that difference because in America there's so many people who are suffering. So many people hiding in their houses go, I'm afraid to go outside because there are gangs here. Okay, okay, I hear you. I hear you. We maybe move away from the gangs. When I was living in East Los Angeles and I was the victim of a hate crime, the sheriff didn't do anything and they never investigated. They caught the guy. And I could be mad, but I'm also mad at myself because I was living in an area where there were gangs, where drug dealers, where there were all this kind of bullshit. Of respecting myself enough to say, I don't live there. Wake up, people. If you are disrespected in any way, go find the respect yourself. Move, leave. Do you your fancy drink order Starbucks? But I can have installed in it if I wanted, if the town wants that. Or maybe yourself enough to say, for fuck, anybody in the town an espresso machine that they maybe make a quick cup for free? Maybe that's evolution that we need. Nothing against Starbucks, but if you can't even give me a mango refresh correctly, and all you have to do is one little squirt of your coffee container, and that's it. It's labeled, pressed, and you couldn't even do that. Then maybe the idea is make your own coffee. Everything all about person saying, "How dare employee mess up my?" But then it's also on me of, why don't you just make it yourself? The amount that they're charging me for this, I could have afforded the fruits they decided to put in my drink, but I can even taste. And then the other part is something that I easily do myself. And then I had to have a conversation of, you didn't shake glass. Really? Having a conversation with a grown man of, well, you didn't shake the cup. Come on. At that point, I just tell people sometimes you don't realize how real you are. You don't. It is cumbersome to go to grocery and then, pick out the fruit, check the fruit, if it's fresh, all of that. But these are things that we used to be able to do. We used to be able to say, I have fruit in the house every day. Every day. Never question. We lost all that when we said, move to the city. I need to have a fruit tree. I need to have my own fruit tree. I don't know the groceries from my fruit tree. So let's move into the future. Let's move into the future as maybe you don't have your own farm, but you could, if you wanted. Maybe you have community goods. Maybe you have a community stand. It's just mangoes, rare. You have to squeeze it to cut it. You have to, juice it to do all that. But maybe that would just be easier. So here I'm talking about Propolis 28, and I think it's what I'm gonna have to start labeling my channel as because I already have people who say, yeah, I'd be in a town like that. I think that's what I need to do because America is a mess. See America like it could be and not as it is. And maybe that means that it might change its name at some point. It might be a different country at some point. It might be a brand new state in the same country. But what could you gain? What could you gain if you want health and health is all around you? Health is not having to force a smile at a neighbor, but smiling genuinely because you trust this person. Because this person is like you, someone who crawled their way out of the fucking mess that the rest chose something different. I hate the West Coast. I really do. If it was between the West Coast and the East Coast, I'm sorry, I took West Coast. The only problem for me, the West Coast isn't where I needed it. So I'm going to push it even further and say maybe a brand new town, started a town, moved to a city, moved to a city. As I explain to people, I need you to accept robot part of your life. I need you to accept the fact you are accustomed that you have graduated from being picker a fucking grocery person who just the button. I need you to accept. As that acceptance, I need to accept uh, there's gonna be less people in your life if you want that. If you want to be that people person, great. But I'm at this point where I'm offering a city of people. They're over there. Wake up, people. My Ian Ileana. I'm an environment. I'm a human rights activist. I'm a mutant. I'm a werewolf. I'm a veteran with PTSD from military trauma, and I'm not getting it. I am a brilliant engineer. I'm a genius inventor, and I'm transform this country one town at a time. So I'm starting with Metropolis. I am retirement separation. The only way I can really do this. So I'm looking to hire people to live in this town. If you like to apply, you can apply at Ian Ilona. That's IAN X LYANA at gmail.com. Give me your CV, give a picture, give me an explanation of what you would contribute to this new town, give me a list of skills, give me a list of skills you'd like to acquire, and let me know if you're really interested because moving forward, because we're thinking of presidents and senators instead of saying, yeah, I've just got a couple of those and live in a clean god house. We go on holidays and, run a business together. That's us. And you talk about support movement. That's it. You want male support? It's a roommate. You want male support? It's a business partner. We forget that these things like marriage or a business contract of, if I marry you, fuck you. If I marry you, you provide it out of this. Marry you, you provide either goods and services or money in order to keep this household running, male, female. You're supposed to love me. If you don't, guess what? That's a contract. But that's never going to change if every force on the earth can pull in your arm and not showing you many avenues to happiness. There's some paths. Street Metropolis 2028. I hope to see you on the next podcast.